Please be seated. Family and friends of graduates, faculty, staff, administrators, and members of the graduating class, welcome and good afternoon. I can think of no better place to be on a chilly Colorado afternoon than in the warm confines of Moby with this group. Thank you for being here. My name is Ben Withers. I serve as Dean of the College of Liberal Arts, and it's my honor and privilege to welcome you all here today to your commencement celebration honoring this graduating class of Colorado State University. So we have a rousing hour or so of entertainment for you. We will recognize our platform party, we will recognize the achievements of this class, and we will hear from an honored graduate and distinguished professor. But before we start that, I ask you to please stand, face the flag, or actually face the stage as the Colorado State University Wing Walker Honor Guard presents the honors. So look this way, look this way. The Colorado State University Brass Quintet and vocalist Emmanuel Bonilla will lead us in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
So please be seated. Both CSU and the College of Liberal Arts recognize our unique history and mission as a land-grant university. This is our 153rd year. The liberal arts approach to learning forms the heart of Colorado State's heritage as a land-grant public university. A liberal arts education encourages individuals to develop strong, transferable, intellectual, and practical skills such as communication, analysis, teamwork, empathy, creative thinking, and problem solving. Because the first word in land-grant university is land, it is also incumbent on us to recognize where that land came from and how that history permeates everything that we do. As such, Colorado State University acknowledges, with respect, that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other native tribes. We recognize the indigenous peoples as the original stewards of this land and all of the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgment are spoken and heard, the ties that nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU was founded as a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion. And significantly, that our founding came at dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. And now I'd like to recognize and introduce the members of our starting lineup, the Platform Party. I will ask each person to stand and remain standing when I announce their name. So please, because we've got a large group up here, hold your applause until all names have been called. I will ask you to give a single clap after I introduce each individual, and because a few of the people at the beginning have rather long titles, I'll cue you. So please welcome Dr. Janice Nerger, Interim Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Albert Bimper, Interim Chief of Staff and Associate Dean. Dr. Andrea Duffy, Assistant Vice Provost. Dr. Rose Hinchell, Senior Associate Dean for Academic Programs and Interim Chief Academic Officer for the CSU system. If you thought that was long, wait for this one. Professor Wes Kinney, Director of Orchestras, Colorado State University, Music Director, Fort Collins Symphony, and Music Director, Denver Young Artist Orchestra. Dr. Kevin Fry, Assistant Professor, Army ROTC. I forgot that one. Major Jason Blatton, Assistant Professor of Aerospace Studies, Air Force ROTC. Dr. Ellie Light, Assistant Dean for Student Success. Dr. Ryan Claycomb, Associate Dean for Faculty Affairs. Dr. Micah Glantz, Chair, Department of Anthropology and Geography. Dr. Ellie Mosman, Chair, Department of Art and Art History. Dr. Greg Dickinson, Chair, Department of Communication Studies. Dr. Alyssa Bronstein, Chair, Department of Economics. Dr. Luann Reed, Chair, Department of English. Dr. Doreen Martinez, Associate Professor representing Department of Ethnic Studies. Dr. Robert Goodmanstead, Chair, Department of History. Professor Kevin Foskin, Director, Interdisciplinary Arts. Dr. Marilee Long, Chair, Department of Journalism and Media Communication. Dr. Jonathan Carlyon, Chair, Languages, Literatures, Cultures, and Interim Director, International Studies. Professor Emily Morgan, Interim Director of the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. Dr. Matt McKenzie, Chair, Department of Philosophy. Dr. Bob Duffy, Chair, Department of Political Science. And last but not least, Dr. Pete Taylor, Chair, Department of Sociology. Please join me in welcoming these honored guests. Wow, I think I need a drink after that. Graduates, You are part of a liberal arts community which includes more than 7,000 currently enrolled undergraduate majors and minors, with over 4,000 primary majors and 55,000 alumni. You join them in achieving an education that includes both an in-depth study of your specific discipline and a broad knowledge of the wider world of culture and society, all of which investigates the human experience. A liberal arts education empowers individuals by teaching them to apply their knowledge and skills in diverse, real-world settings. Underlying it all is a sense of civic and social responsibility, that education is more important for future generations and for society as a whole than just an individual, that we live in a better world where there are more people who can bring to bear their skills to help us all deal with the complexity, the challenges, and the tremendous change of our contemporary circumstances. So thank you deeply for choosing to become part of this ever-growing community here at CSU. And most importantly, congratulations for meeting the academic challenges presented in your studies. We'll learn a little bit more about those challenges now, because it is my honor of introducing Senior Associate Dean for Academic Programs in the College of Liberal Arts, Dr. Rose Henschel, who will recognize our graduating students.
Good afternoon. Today, the faculty, your family, and your friends have gathered to celebrate your achievements and your bachelor's degree. I'll be recognizing the many students among the graduates by asking them to stand. Please stand if you're able, so that we may express our pride in your accomplishments. Would all members of the graduating class of 2022 please stand? Congratulations. Please be seated. The liberal arts faculty has dedicated their lives to scholarship, research, artistry, outreach, and most importantly, teaching and mentoring students. Will the members of the faculty, including those on the platform, please stand and receive our appreciation for all that you've done for this graduating class. Please be seated. As we celebrate your graduation, we also recognize some of the special accomplishments of members of your class. The College of Liberal Arts is pleased to honor those students who have earned teacher licensure by completing an approved academic degree program and professional education requirements, including student teaching. Students who have earned teacher licensure can be identified by the powder blue cords that they wear today. Would graduates who will be licensed by the state of Colorado to teach in elementary or middle and high school please stand and be recognized? Please be seated. A significant number of students have enriched their education by completing the requirements for a program of study beyond the major. Will students who have completed a second major or a minor please stand and be recognized? Please be seated. Colorado State University is dedicated to creating a world-class university that welcomes all students and strives to make international learning accessible. As an institution, we encourage students to engage in education abroad, connect across cultures, and become more curious about the world. So too, we benefit by welcoming international students who have chosen to make the College of Liberal Arts their academic home. Will all students who participated in education abroad during their time at CSU and all international students who are graduating please stand and be recognized? Please be seated. A first-generation college student is one whose parents have not earned a bachelor's degree. An important aspect of Colorado State University's land-grant mission is to provide access to education so that a wider community of students may experience the transformational potential of a college education. The success of first-generation students in our college and at our university is a point of pride for all of us. I'm pleased to ask all first-generation students in the graduating class and among the faculty to stand and be recognized. Please be seated. In 1916, Congress created the Reserve Officers Training Corps, the ROTC, which provides military training at civilian educational institutions. Colorado State University enjoys a long tradition of strong ROTC programs. We are honored by the enrollment of veterans in majors across our college as well. Will those graduates who were commissioned as second lieutenants in the United States Army or Air Force, and students and members of the audience who are veterans of any branch of the United States military services, please stand and receive our gratitude. Please be seated. Next, we pay tribute to those graduates who are initiates of national honorary societies, including but not limited to Phi Beta Kappa, Phi Kappa Phi, Golden Key, Mortarboard, and the National Society of Collegiate Scholars. Will the members of national honorary societies please stand and be recognized? Please be seated. The University Honors Program provides an optional, enriched educational plan of study for students at Colorado State University. These students may be recognized by the green gowns that they wear. Will the candidates for Honor Scholar please rise so that we may applaud your achievements? Please be seated. Colorado State University recognizes the highest academic achievement of today's degree recipients by awarding their degrees with distinction. The candidates for graduation with distinction are wearing gold gowns, or in some cases, green gowns with gold quartz. Students graduating with distinction have earned a minimum of 60 credits at this institution. Those graduating cum laude constitute approximately the top 6% of the class with a grade point average of 3.78 or higher. Those graduated magna cum laude constitute approximately the next 3% of the class with a grade point average of 3.91 or higher. And those graduating summa cum laude constitute approximately the top 1% of the graduating class with a grade point average of 3.98 or higher. Will all graduates, candidates for graduation, cum, magna, and summa laude, please stand and be recognized? Please be seated. I would now like to welcome one of our students to address the class. When choosing a student speaker, we look at someone who has an excellent academic record, certainly, but who also, through their curricular and co-curricular engagement, represent the value of a liberal arts education. I lost my spot, hang on. I'm reading from a script, by the way. It is my privilege to introduce Samantha May. Samantha transferred. I think this might have been a surprise for one of her family members. Is that true? Samantha transferred to CSU after earning her associate's degree from Pikes Peak Community College. She's a political science major with double minors in legal studies and criminology and criminal justice. Samantha has served as a senator for the Associate Students of Colorado State University, and in that role, she collaborated on a bill allocating $30,000 to increase food security for students, and worked with a team of others to pass bills related to food security, accessibility, inclusivity, among other efforts. She's also served as a volunteer at Colorado Springs Teen Court, where she learned and practiced restorative justice approaches to the legal system. Samantha was an intern for Executive DC Legal Services in Washington, DC, and as a legal assistant for a law firm. Samantha has made a big impact at CSU and will continue to affect positive change. Samantha's long-term plans are to attend law school with the goal of working for the FBI in law or intelligence. Please help me welcome Samantha to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Henschel. Hello, Colorado State University, and congratulations to the College of Liberal Arts Fall Class of 2022. I am honored to be here with all of you, celebrating the conclusion of our undergraduate experience. I am sure the path to get here has looked different for all of us, but we are united in that our being here today is the culmination of hard work, experiences we will never forget, and lessons we would not have learned anywhere else. My first day on campus as a freshman, I walked into the Ramshorn Dining Hall to eat breakfast. I had never been in the building before and didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. I remember feeling confused, overwhelmed, and nervous. I ended up walking the wrong direction and got yelled at, and I think I even considered never going back. So I decided that breakfast was not, in fact, the most important meal of the day. That timid freshman would have never imagined that she would be standing here before you all today. I think this growth is a testament to the diversity of impact that a college experience has. A college education is so much more than what we learn in the classroom. As liberal arts majors, we have been challenged in our understanding of the world, people, and ourselves. We were taught to analyze, think critically, and practically apply our knowledge of humanity in a way that is very different from other students. These lessons are invaluable, and we can use them to make a positive impact. Being a political science major has allowed me to think about the way I view the world, the different issues that society faces, and how to respond to them. It is not easy to hear about all of the things that are wrong with society or even life in general. Sometimes being faced with what can feel like the weight of the world is overwhelming. I remember a particularly disheartening lecture on discrimination in many areas of society. Particularly on days like those, it is easy to lose hope in people and in the world. On this day, though, the problems seemed to bring the people in class together. Some shared their own stories, and you could feel the common desire to want to do more to address the problems in society. It was easy to see that there are people who care and people who want to light up the darkness. I think that without the exposure and sometimes brutal honesty that can come with gaining a deeper understanding of the world and people, I would not have been able to truly develop my opinions and foster my passion for making a positive impact. For a while, I was a representative for the College of Liberal Arts and Student Government. This is a place with many differences of opinion, and there were many times when this difference was made known in a less than respectful manner. Then there would be people who could not move past the difference, and it kept coming up in ways that were harmful and unnecessary. The point of this story isn't to point out flaws, but to demonstrate the importance of respecting each other and looking past our differences and disagreements to be able to come together and create something that is positive, important, and that makes a difference. We all have the ability to do this. We have spent a long time sitting in classrooms being taught by people that at the beginning we did not know and did not necessarily have any reason to believe. But we dutifully wrote down what they said, and over time, the information became ingrained in our minds. We trusted that they were experts and that they had knowledge to impart on us, which was true. And I can confidently say that I feel I have the proficiency to go with the piece of paper they will hand me that says I do. One lesson that I have learned, though, is that despite the breadth and depth of knowledge professors have, they are also humans with opinions, and taking the time to critically think about what we have learned and how we should apply it is key. For every one of us, this looks a little different, but I think that the lesson that we need to do our own research and formulate our own convictions is something that we can all do well to remember. There will always be those that don't agree with us and those that challenge our opinions. There is no promise that life will be easy, but college has prepared us to step up to whatever life throws at us. Each one of us gets to decide what to get out of our college experience and how we make it matter in a practical way. You may not know what you're doing next, and that's okay, but hold on to the passion and curiosity for life and learning that brought you here. Cherish those freshman ambitions that have been cultivated during your time here to create a person that is confident, capable, and courageous. They will guide you in experiencing life, processing it, and then applying the educational and practical lessons that you have learned. Ask questions, persevere, be a light in the world that can sometimes be very dark, and learn how to rediscover the importance of breakfast. I am now honored to introduce our commencement speaker to give the keynote address to the class. Wes Kenny is a professor and director of orchestras for Colorado State University. He also conducts CSU's Ralph Opera Productions and serves as music director of the Fort Collins Symphony and the Denver Young Artist Orchestras. He has taken the Denver Young Artist Orchestras on 2 tours of Europe, as well as 2 appearances at Carnegie Hall in New York. This summer, DYAO will play at Disney Hall in Los Angeles. He has been recognized as a University Distinguished Professor. A frequent guest conductor of professional and educational ensembles, Maestro Kenny can be found every December in the pit at the Lincoln Center Canyon Concert Ballet's production of The Nutcracker, and has guest directed for various orchestras, including the Virginia Symphony, Buffalo Philharmonic, the Colorado Symphony, and the Minnesota, New Mexico, Alabama, and New Hampshire All-State Orchestras. Internationally, he has conducted in the Changwon Philharmonic in South Korea, the Vietnam National Symphony in Hanoi, the Vidin Symphony and Stara Zagora Opera in Bulgaria, and the Lviv Philharmonic, Ukraine. Kenny was named a 2020 Honored Artist by the American Prize, another American Prize for Programming, and 3 American Prizes in Performance. The most recent being the top prize for professional orchestras with the Fort Collins Symphony. He has been awarded the 1992 Carmen Dragon Conducting Prize and honored as the 2009 Outstanding Teacher by the Colorado American String Teachers Association. Kenny won the grand prize at the summer 2007 Varna International Conducting Competition in Bulgaria. Kenny holds a BA in music from the University of Southern California and a master's in conducting from San Francisco State University.
Thank you, Samantha, for that lovely introduction. And also to Dean Ben Withers for inviting me today, Dr. Rose Henschel for all the work that you've done in the University Center for the Arts, and my colleagues. 2 decades of memorable experiences that we've had. First, congratulations to all of you who have managed to negotiate your way through a college education despite a global pandemic, and arrived here at one of the great finish lines of your lives. The tenacity required to reach this day demonstrates an unwavering desire to make yourselves better in so many ways. No matter your area of study in the College of Liberal Arts, you have put yourself on a path that will help you contribute to our society at multiple levels. That degree is just a beginning, for as you well know, the world is a complicated place, and challenges are great and many. It is an honor to be standing before you as the first University Distinguished Professor from the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. At that award ceremony, I have to say that I was in awe of the accomplishments of my fellow inductees, perhaps even intimidated with the incredible research they have achieved and their contributions to the world. After all, what have I done that is worthy of standing in the same room with some of the giants in their field? You see, my profession is in the arts, musically specifically, and in my profession, I don't even make a sound. You probably have seen people like me standing in front of an ensemble, waving their arms. My craft is conducting orchestras. That is what I've done for the past 50 years, and for the past 20 years, Fort Collins has been my home base. Along the way, there have been opportunities to travel across the country and the world, learn about new cultures, meet a great many people, all within the framework of a universal language, music. As you all know, November was extraordinarily tragic with mass shootings around the country. A concert I conducted recently landed on the day after the violence in Colorado Springs. In speaking to the audience, two thoughts came to me, which I shared with those present that day. We are currently reminded far too often of the worst of civilization. However, in making music, we are showing you the best of civilization. The other is from the esteemed conductor Leonard Bernstein, who wrote shortly after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, "This will be our reply to violence, to make music more intensely, more beautifully, more devotedly than ever before." The orchestra, in hearing this, took up both reflections, and the performance became a comfort for us all. No matter what may happen in the world, my work searches for the humanity in civilization. Merriam-Webster defines humanity as compassionate, sympathetic, or generous behavior or disposition, the state of being humane. We sometimes talk about the humane treatment of animals. One of my fellow inductees at the University Distinguished Professor ceremony was none other than Professor Temple Grandin, who has spent a lifetime in learning to treat animals with respect, no matter what their fate. We talk about the humane treatment of prisoners or refugees as well. But what about the humane treatment of each other? In my profession, those who have success learned long ago that conducting and beating time are not the same. If you do it right, you might hear musicians start to call you an honorific title, maestro. Maestro means teacher. What kind of a teacher? One that encourages all the things that go on in a music classroom. Cooperation, coordination, teamwork, listening skills, precision, sustained effort, compromise, foreign language, history, inspiration, micro and macro athleticism, and the list goes on. Almost sounds like a synthesis of courses throughout the College of Liberal Arts, doesn't it? Sometimes you discover great beauty is found in a symphony by Mozart or Brahms. Sometimes you discover something about cultures as demonstrated in the Peruvian-inspired music of Gabriel Lena-Franc. You can also feel frustrating pain as offered in the introduction of the Afro-American composer Florence Price's Third Symphony. One of the most popular pieces ever written is about the stress of battle and the celebration after victory, Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. That's right, that's the piece with cannons. It goes way beyond the notes and rhythms or louds and soft, for once you have mastered that, you start to travel into depths of feeling that few today dare to go. Human connection. However, history tells us that conductors have not always been humane. Thus, as a result, we have a genre of humor that pit orchestras against the personality on the podium. Conductor jokes. Why did they bury the conductor 20 feet into the earth? Because deep down he was a nice guy. What does a conductor and Santa Claus have in common? All the other people do the work, and the guy in the center takes all the credit. Then there is my favorite. A rabbit and a snake bump into each other late one night in the forest. There is heavy cloud cover and no moon, so it is pitch black. The rabbit says, "Who are you?" And the snake replies, "Who are you?" Then the rabbit gets a brilliant idea. Why don't we feel each other and guess what the other is? The snake accepts this proposal and goes first. The snake says, "Let's see, you're furry, with long ears and a cottontail. You must be a rabbit." "Very good," says the rabbit. "Now it's my turn." You are cold, slimy, spineless, and have no ears. You must be a conductor." A required textbook in my graduate conducting class and one of the quintessential manuals on establishing relationships is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. In introducing the book, I begin by telling the aforementioned jokes. Then I ask the question, why do these jokes exist? After a brief pause, one of the students usually mumbles, "Because there's some truth to them?" My answer is, exactly. And who is responsible for those perceptions? Fortunately, the conducting profession has evolved substantially over the past 100 years. There was a time when conductors were not concerned about being considered humane. Over 30 years ago, I was competing in the Toscanini conducting competition in Parma, Italy. The night before my first round, I had walked over to the hall. The air was thick with humidity, so windows were open to get some ventilation. What I heard was the orchestra being screamed at by their music director in rehearsal. When I stepped in front of the orchestra the next day, the ensemble looked shell-shocked. One English horn player on a solo clipped a note which caused me to glance casually in his direction. His reaction was total deflation. He sunk deep into his chair with shame. Why? Because he had likely been berated and demeaned, having been treated in less than a humane fashion. These are world-class artists we're discussing. Ouch. The present model of a conductor is much different. Getting musicians to play their best is also getting them to feel most comfortable. This is the challenge we face today. I also remind my students of the quote from Cliff Robertson talking to Tobey Maguire in the original Spider-Man. "With great power comes great responsibility." Browbeating musicians is not the way to success. I'd like to quote the lyrics to a song written in 1964, but revived more recently by the rock band Disturbed. After the release of their cover of the Simon and Garfunkel song in 2015, it climbed the charts and went viral during the recent pandemic. Can you please roll the video?
And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence.
Every generation that graduates from college faces serious dilemmas. Fortunately, the charge to them has never been one of silence. Paul Simon says about the song, "We have people unable to touch each other, unable to love other people." This is a song about the inability to communicate. So how is your communication and the mode you use? We all text and use memes, but can that truly replace a face-to-face conversation where you watch your words being received in real time with facial expressions to go with them? More and more with each year, communication is done in a vacuum. This is why I tell young people who play in orchestras that they are special for several reasons. Here are two. They are willing to step away for hours at a time from the digital devices so ubiquitous in our world and experience genius every day. And they get to experience emotional highs and lows in their music that many of their classmates may never see. Not only do I give them permission to put their emotions out on their sleeves, but I go further in saying, you can't be cool and play Brahms. It forces them to look inward to find a center of the composer's message and become more human. It requires hearing and listening, and musically talking and speaking. It is hard to believe the Simon and Garfunkel song was written more than 55 years ago. It seems today that for many, talking without speaking and hearing without listening is a way of life. I hope you will indulge me as we've run an experiment on how to find depth in your communication. Is there anyone celebrating a birthday today? Way over there? Okay, perfect, all right. Good. Double celebration. So now we're going to sing Happy Birthday. And I think that was a mom, so we'll sing it to Mom. Okay? So here we go. Okay, so I know Mom's feeling pretty special, but for me, that was beating time, and for you, I would call that the usual perfunctory version that is sung countless times each day to someone. I think you would agree it is not very memorable. As a conducting teacher, I have to remind students who shows an ensemble how to follow a conductor. Well, it's the conductor. So now we're going to sing Happy Birthday again, and this time I want you to follow the kind of direction that I give you. The faculty over here can help you with your pitch. Did that feel different? Did you feel more intent, as if everyone really meant it? It wasn't that difficult to change the rendition into something with depth, more connected, perhaps even more humane. And for just a moment, those that receive this birthday message are feeling very special. So let me conclude with a few reminders about how to best connect with people. And I'm going to let Dale Carnegie lead the way. 1, instead of condemning people, try to understand them, for it will breed sympathy, tolerance, and kindness. 2, give honest and sincere appreciation to people, and you will find cooperation. 3, be genuinely interested in people. 4, smile. It warms the spirit. 5, do your best to remember people's names. 6, be an attentive listener and hear people. 7, make people feel important. Happy birthday to you. 8, the only person you should ever blame is yourself when you are wrong. Admitting your own mistake will preserve relationships and build trust. 9, ask questions that you know will receive a yes answer. 10, look for the human element in everyone you meet. If we fail to learn something from the new people we encounter and their gifts, we are not paying attention. And finally, find your own passion, and you will find your place in the world. On March 13th, 2020, as the world was shutting down for the pandemic, I conducted a concert in Lviv, Ukraine. It breaks my heart to know what these people are going through, as they are talented and friendly. Besides, one of the best hamburgers I've ever had in my life was there. But let me talk about Tobias, an American musician who was the principal violist in the Lviv Philharmonic. When the war began, many of the foreign players left as soon as possible, not knowing, of course, what was to happen. Tobias stayed. He had found his family, both musically and socially, and was passionate enough about them that he wanted to remain and risk his life for his colleagues. Compassionate, sympathetic, and generous disposition. I would say Tobias was the embodiment of humanity. The following statement can be read on the web page of the CLA. Our students and faculty share a commitment to the well-being of the human community, the natural environment in which we live, the inspiration of the human spirit. So, from anthropology and geography to economics, international studies to sociology, ethnic studies to women's studies, you share the distinction of being the next graduating class of the College of Liberal Arts. My charge to you, no matter where this degree will take you, is to never lose sight of the humanity you all share. In a world that continues to demonstrate what the worst of civilization is, in the College of Liberal Arts, we teach what is the best of civilization. Since everyone is part of the world's orchestra, you can make our planet a better place for all of us. Thank you.
So thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Wes. What I'm struck by in both of those conversations we've just heard is our responsibility to each other, the things that we can do with our education in the liberal arts to bring the world together. So now, it's my great privilege to present the candidates for graduation in the College of Liberal Arts. You all have completed all the requirements for the baccalaureate degree that have been established by the university, the college, and the departments. Faculty Council has recommended to our governing board that these students receive their bachelor's degrees. So, at this time, I'd like to introduce Interim Provost Nerger, who will confer the degrees.
So I also have a few words to say to you, but I have a little bit of a different angle, I think. It's a different approach. So I got my inspiration for what I wanted to say to you today from a cocktail napkin. I was downtown in Fort Collins at a store, and there's this rack of cocktail napkins, and some of them are hilarious, and some of them are somewhat inappropriate, and then I found some that I thought was sort of inspirational for what I wanted to say to the graduating class. And it said, sometimes your journey will take you off your path. It's all part of the same trip. So I started thinking about that and started thinking about you all. And during your time here at CSU, I'm sure that there were times you felt like you were thrown off your path. Whether it was getting into and passing some of the classes that you needed or achieving the grades you had hoped for, dealing with your freshman roommate, you might remember that, participating in undergraduate research, changing your major, finding a parking space, building long-term relationships, learning how to navigate the impacts of COVID. It may have felt at times to be a roller coaster ride. But personally, though, I don't think the analogy of a roller coaster is apt in this case. I mean, sure, there were ups and downs and sharp turns, but when you're riding on a roller coaster, you're strapped in, you're moving on a predetermined path, and you end up exactly where you started. For all of your graduates here this afternoon, this is clearly not descriptive of your experiences while at CSU. You are not in the same place intellectually, socially, or emotionally that you were when you started your studies here at CSU. Instead of a roller coaster ride, I think a better metaphor for life is its inevitable ups and downs is a road trip. So you each experience your own unique road trip, filled with high-speed freeways, detours, side trips, speed bumps. If you're like me, maybe a speeding ticket now and then, maybe somewhat closer to now than then. But unlike a roller coaster, on a road trip, there's no predetermined path. There's no roadmap. You're the one that makes the decisions about where you go. And at the end of each day, you end up in a completely new place than where you started, a place you may never have even thought you'd be. Your journey may take you off of the path. So as we move from one day to the next, we're met with challenges of one sort of another. Some are quite pleasant, exciting, and others more difficult, more of a struggle. All of these challenges are simply part of the road trip. And it's how we handle them, how we choose to traverse the path of our journey that makes the difference. And your CSU education will help you meet those challenges and define and guide you on your journey to success. So take a moment and reflect on where you are today and what direction you might be heading. Maybe it's graduate or professional school. Maybe you have a job lined up, travel. Maybe you're taking a gap year. Maybe you're still uncertain. It's all okay. It's your road trip, so don't get discouraged if you come across a detour. You'll get where you're supposed to go because you're destined to do great things. And as you continue your road trip beyond CSU, enjoy each day. Be kind to yourself and to others. And my last piece of advice, try not to carry too much baggage. Once again, congratulations. Now the moment. You've earned the words. Now you get to hear them. So will the candidates for the bachelor's degrees please rise? By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System, I hereby confer the bachelor's degree on each of you, together with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereunto. Let us recognize the achievements of this wonderful group of students. Congratulations.
Please be seated. The marshals will now escort the graduates to the platform to be recognized individually and receive their diploma covers. We ask families and friends to keep the aisles clear and take photographs of your graduate after the ceremony. Dr. Greg Dickinson and Dr. Andrew Dew will announce the graduates' names individually. Graduates, to honor all members of the class, we ask that everyone remain in Moby for the entire ceremony.
Thank you. Graduates in the Department of Anthropology and Geography, Hayden Thomas Shortreed. Haley R. Abshire. Olivia Marie Float. Miranda Brittany Blake. Haley Notsky Burland. Matthew A.J. Forst. Eleanor Quinn McEwen. Mary Virginia Good. Lucas Charles Wheel. And now for the graduates in the Department of Art and Art History. We have Sophia Michaela Nance, Alice Sarah Newman, Cheyenne Sierra Myers, Lillian Holmes Gear, Zoe Alexandra Bauman, Lauren A. Leffitz, Lucille Ann Wright, Lana LaBlanche Evans, Brooke Emily Deegan, Catherine Marie Allman, Kieran G. Bradingen, Duncan Port, Ross Ellender, Joseph A. Winship, Nicholas A. Katz, Sage E. Collett, Henry Ray, Colin Hamlin, Thank you. Joshua J. Brown, Sean Garrett Alvis, Isabel C. Fernandez, Angelique Jade Gonzalez, Ratavi Mez Tome, Silas Taylor Nelson, Emily G. Yodis. Graduates in the Department of Communication Studies, Nicole Carrillo, Mila Allen, Dylan James McQuaid, Alexander Lee Shea, Jordan Kaminsky, Merrick D. Fowler, Brennan James Sexton, Cahill Ray Bellmere, Logan Asbury Boyer, Brett Jameson Hartland, Cameron Whitney Cuthbert, Trevor Adam Sheldon, Sophie Ann Remington, Unoan Amy Solis, Savannah Faith Overturf, Asia Catherine Kalcevic, Oscar Garcia Resendez, Callan Elliott, Katarina C. Burke, Maria Isabel Salazar, Andrew Chesed Jackson, Devin T. Phillips, Aaron Jennings Necessary, Joshua W. Ridgeway, Casey Marie Bush. Graduates in the Department of Economics, Michael Thompson, John Flynn Kuntz, Cameron Ross, Marcus Gianni Ambrose, David Jonathan Guillen, David Hodge Wagden III, Kevin Alonso, Halen Richard Marcel, Nicholas Santoro. Maxwell Gutwein. Sultan Al-Alawi. Mitchell W. Rice. Levi A. Meeks. Victoria Charlene Kaufman. Clayton H. Morgan. Rachel Hannah Driscoll. Gabe Ferrier. Max Christoph Wilbo.
Graduates of the Department of English. Caitlin Kahi'i Kahono. Gabriella Mickelson. Catherine Lindell. Justin Robert Arias. TJ Menon. Sheridan L. Tarbutton. Taryn Brooke Smith. Trinity Jade Robertson. Adriana Isabel Reyes. Stephen Russell Lehman. Chloe Ray Stansfield. Jamie Leanne Suto. Daniel Reza Trump. Jack Charles Zimmer. Maria Shanti Geriner. Graduates in the Department of Ethnic Studies. Liliana Martinez. Marley Rabin Lerner. Katie Kinnick. Oh. Edith M. Steffenhagen. Jennifer Fuentes. Lula Mesfan Tiawalda. Zulaka Z. Skani. Graduates in the Department of History. Derek Wandy. Lori Wall. Connell F. O'Brien. Ian Francis Champion. Dulcina Sorrell. Chance Joseph Harper. Claire Johnson. Ihiro Sebastian Chiriro. Nicholas Causa. Ashley Joy Matthews. Kyle Roshwowski. Megan Nicole Holmes. Maria Plumban. Colton Dennis Dudley. Christopher Ridgway. Robert K. Stevens. Dalton Michael Yoder. Evan F. Moran. Nathaniel Lyle Bowens. Bryce P. Pantoa. Graduates in the Department of Interdisciplinary Liberal Arts. Kevin Zondervan. Cassandra Oikasiwa Lyons. Bria May Wade. Peter Clyde Nguyen. Janet Ann Kimball. Teresa Rulon. Kathleen Elizabeth O'Brien. Allie Elizabeth Sanders. Alexis Shanabel. Grace Lucia Hudgens. Lalina Marcia. Charlene Spencer. Joseph Quazagro. Anna Maggio. Lindsay Elizabeth Machado. Brandon Hickerson Rooks.
Okay, the graduates in the program of International Studies. Grace A. Tiberi. Madeline Elizabeth Reish. Molly Ann Clark. Sandy Luz Hernandez. Sawyer Brooke Ross. Graduates in the Department of Journalism and Media Communication. Peter S. Rushinsky II. Emily Deanne Seal. Stuart Lane Ricker. Claire M. Rolson. Samuel Johannes Farage Summer. Tessa O'Shea Heidinger. Michaela Yvonne Klein. Tristan Kwong-Woon Green. Isaiah Ngasi. Autumn L. Serwick. Riley Thomas Ramirez. Katie Nelson. Sam Elliott Derrickson. Morgan Gray. Desi Esquivel. Senya Fuentes. Leah M. Wolf. Ryan P. Tubbs. Lars Kragness. Case Dane Reber. Ruth Furman. Rachel Annalise Boschnagel. Lindsay Lori Barker. Lauren Hahn. Liam Joseph Conlon. Andrew Douglas Elliott. Brooke Elizabeth Haskins. Lydia McGregor Osberg. Katie Collins. Olivia Rose Armagno. Graduates in the Department of Languages, Literatures, and Cultures. Samuel Bailey. Lorelei L. Bonneman. Kate Elizabeth Freiheiter. Emma Kate Baker. It's Yvonne Mendoza. Okay. Iban Adolfo Mendoza Hinojos. Kimberly Bautista Segovia. Nika Lin. Graduates in the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. Everett Johnson Schreierhawk. Ria Chan. Kiva B. Brereton. Maria E. Coop. Kathleen Alta Dixon. Megan Jewel Bowe. Daphne Ornstein. Emma Elizabeth Perry. Ashley Nicole Halou. Thomas Joseph Gracia.
Graduates in the Department of Philosophy. Fiona Sophia Anderson. Lauren E. Berry. Graduates in the Department of Political Science. Timothy Edward Padawaran. Malik Shawwish. Margaret Eleanor Thompson. Philip Bonin. Ryan James Bailey. Hunter Fucht. Josephine G. Brown. Victor Rosales Garcia. Samantha May. Jordan Paul Govaldon. Ryan O. Capels. Christian Nell Dixon. Nicholas J. Walseth. Lily Jean Wolfmeyer. Kendra Jane Gibson. Jordan Skolnick. Audrey Lavati. Jennifer M. Doucet. Lindsay Kastner. Sarah Elizabeth Honke. Grant G. Parker. Michael Ryan Mullen. Clark W. Schaffner. Jonah Mitchell Ferrara. Daniel Carl McKelvey. Libby Ingram Brown. Jackson Faley. Brianna Nicole Dazelle. Graduates in the Department of Sociology. Kendall M. Bernot. Jessica Contreras Vargas. Ella Davis McDonald. Jenna Goldstrom. Demetrius A. Tenorio. Heaven Leanne Adamas. Andrea Vasquez. Alexis Paige Schwab. Lauren Savannah Chrisman. Braden Ross Ramsey. Jennifer Claire Shields. Hannah Christine Repka. Carolyn G. Scram. Brittany Gosha. Wyatt James Ham. Sophia Pachi. Madison McClintock Rhagar. Emma Faber. Haley Nicole O'Neill. Christina Marita Richter. Parker McConna Sanchez. Kendra McCone. Maria Nystrom. Courtney Lanning. Skyla Taylor. Andrea Escorchis Rodriguez.
So I first want to thank one of the families over here because you started the loud competition, and I really appreciate it because we need to give each other permission to celebrate these amazing graduates as loudly and with as much enthusiasm as possible. So with that note, graduates, congratulations. Your family and friends have supported you in so many ways throughout the years leading up to this day. Will the family and friends gathered please stand so that the graduates may express their love and appreciation. Please be seated. They don't want to sit down. It's really a shame that we don't have the loud meter on today because I think we might have broken it. Banner carriers, please post your banners. This ceremony would not have been possible without the efforts of many people. My sincere appreciation for the excellent services of the faculty marshals, Professor Gina Robinson, Dr. Pat Hastings, Dr. Martin Shields, Dr. Ryan Scott, Professor Grace Gallagher, Dr. Alicia Miller-DeRute. Thanks to our announcers, Dr. Greg Dickinson and Dr. Andrew Dew, to our interpreters, and to the Wing Walker Honor Guard for presenting the colors. My sincere appreciation to the Landmark event staff and for the CSU Police for keeping us safe, and facility staff for turning Moby into a celebration. I also want to thank the sound technicians and the video producers for their excellent work producing our commencement today. Just for your information, this has been live streamed and will be archived. If you have friends and family that weren't able to see it, you can visit the commencement website and find it there. Thank you so much to the College of Liberal Arts Dean staff and commencement volunteers are standing back there in their green shirts, especially to the amazing Betty Sims, without whom this would not be possible. Finally, I'd like to ask the members of the CSU Brass Quintet and the vocalist Emmanuel Bonilla to please stand and take a bow. Now, will everyone please stand and join Emmanuel Bonilla and the new graduates of the Colorado State University in singing our alma mater. The words are on page 1 of your virtual program and on the Jumbotron.
Hail to thee, our alma mater, Colorado State. Memories are everlasting of this place so great. May thy green and gold unite us, loyal ever be. Colorado State, our alma mater, hail, oh hail to thee.
Will the graduates stay standing? Members of the audience may be seated. The tradition of tossing graduation caps goes back to 1912, when the graduates of the Naval Academy would receive their new officer hats and throw their old midshipman hats in the air to symbolize their transition. Because I'm a scholar of cultural history, I want you all to carry on that tradition. But because I'm an administrator, I want you to be very, very careful while you're doing that. And because I am the mother of a teenager and super sentimental, I'm going to record you while you're doing this. So please, on the count of 3, if you want, throw your hats in the air. 1, 2, 3. Everyone still has all the eyes they came with? Good. Please collect your hats and be seated. The banner carriers will lead the recessional. Next will be the platform party and then the faculty. Graduates, please remain seated until the marshal asks your row to leave. We ask that all graduates meet their family and friends outside Moby following the ceremony so that CSU may prepare the arena for remaining ceremonies. Graduates, you have left your mark here at CSU. Now go make your mark on the world. We'll miss you. Please keep in touch. Thank you all for attending the College of Liberal Arts Commencement celebration.